Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state.
Welcome back to Innovation Unplugged, a production of the ACCS Innovation Center. I'm Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director. Today I've got a duo. I've got the dynamic duo from Jefferson State Community College. I've got Deborah Foster and Britney McClung. Deborah is the career coach for Jeff State Workforce, and Britney is the coordinator of career programs for Jeff State Workforce Development. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for making the drive down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you told me off air that this is your first podcast.
Yes.
First timer.
Yeah, do you listen to a bunch of them? Do you listen to this one weekly as it comes out?
Of course.
Yeah, right. What was the last one?
I think the done construction one, maybe.
That was like months ago, Brittany.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Well,
I'm
we
just
listened
kidding.
to it though.
Yeah, good. Now, that was a really fun one. Chris was. I'm just picking with you. I jokingly, it drives Brandy crazy. I say that my mom's the only person that watches these episodes, but it's okay. So, we're going to talk. Just Jeff State's one of our. I'd say watching the enrollment over the years, the last 8 years, you're either one or two every year for overall enrollment.
Sure.
Credit, non-credit, huge region that you serve. Sitting right there in Birmingham, you got a Clanton campus.
Yes.
You got so much going on. Such a huge area. Like 3 or 4 campuses, all kinds of 4 things. All things kind of.
4 with another site downtown, another one somewhere else coming.
A
We're
new
growing.
one. So you guys are like the British Empire. You're just going to
Yes, we're growing.
keep claiming territory. Okay.
You name it.
Yeah. So have you ever seen the service region map? That like for each college's service region.
I don't think I've actually looked at it as a whole.
So I don't know who drew it, but it's color coded and it's cute. But like there's this college's region and this college's region. Then there's this nice place in the middle where it's blended.
Okay.
And it's like, well, who's supposed to work there, and who's not going to get mad when College A goes like, come on, man, like it makes it hard. And so but you guys do have a big area. So before we get into all that and all the cool things you guys do, give us a little bit of background on how you got to workforce at Jeff State. We'll start with you, Deborah.
Wow. First of all, I started in full-time ministry, left that, and went to Christian Service Mission, working in the community. And then I decided I wanted to be a healthy living director at the YMCA. And right before COVID, I applied for Jeff State. And I worked in the enrollment service as the office manager for the assistant dean. And so my passion has always been I wanted to help students. Yeah. I wanted to guide students. So I was doing that, but not as much as I am now. So I applied for the career coach for workforce education, and I love it.
Yeah. I can tell you do. Every time we've ever talked and when we email, like I see like a little bubble of happiness in there.
Yes.
The first time we met at Center Point High School, last time we met at Center Point High School, it's the same way. We had a good time that day. That's an interesting path.
Yes.
We've not had that one. Yeah, we've not learned that one yet. What about you, Brittany? Where were you before Jeff State?
So I actually came from corporate America, kind of. I was in insurance for what feels like a lifetime, but probably only 7 or 8 years. And mainly was like an operations manager type for a business and responsible for handling the day-to-day of that specific company and training adults and teaching. And that kind of led me into what I pursued for my master's degree, which was adult education, instructional curriculum, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And it just worked out that when I saw this job at Jeff State, it was meant to be. So I've been here about 4 years in the fall.
Cool. Now, do you guys work together on a daily basis?
We may not work face-to-face, but we work together on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, Leah sent a while back y'all's org chart and how it works, and I think that was the last one I saw was to help Selma figure out how to expand. Y'all may not know that, but Selma's growing. Selma's, they got a huge region too, and they they're like, hey, how do other colleges staff for workforce, you know? So we got like, I think I sent them 8 colleges that have all different kinds of departments and different titles and stuff. But I remember yours was like, she finally sent out where y'all are now, and y'all have added just a few new people recently. So
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're finally full.
We're full.
Approaching full.
Well, we're full with what we originally had, and now we're adding one additional position that is very new.
Okay, what's that new position?
Workforce project coordinator.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
And what are they going to be doing?
They'll be dedicated to grants, grant projects, skills for success coordinating, special projects.
Special things.
Mainly.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot. I mean, there's tons of grants that you guys have been running for years, that, you know, continuation grants. So what's it like at Jeff State? Like, you know, and when I was at Calhoun, Leah came to Jeff State after I got to Calhoun, but we were always colleagues and helping each other, but it was also kind of competitive. You know, it was just natural.
Just in Calhoun or what, right
Yeah,
there, neck
always.
and neck. Yeah.
But, you know, so we always had a good time of supporting each other. And when this came around, she saw the flyer before I did. And she sent it to me, and she was like, hey, do you know about this? And I said, no, I don't, but they're planning one right down the street from my office. Like, what are we doing? Like, the actual innovation center that we have now is like, you know, 5 minutes from Calhoun. And so I was pretty upset. So we were like mad together about the innovation center. You know, because we were just coming out of COVID, so we were all trying to figure out what was going on. So, but we're way past all that, and you guys have now staffed fully. So give me a rundown of Jeff State, like on a day-to-day, like what are you guys trying to hit? What's your mission? What are your targets? What's your goal?
Well, I think I would say my mission, my target is to provide an opportunity and support the students. I have an acronym. It's skills, opportunity, and support. That's what I want to provide every day, no matter what the situation may be, because every day is unexpected. We don't know what questions we're going to receive.
Absolutely. Yeah, SOS, is that what you call it? That's a good one. That's a lot of,
I just want to help a student.
Yeah. So in your day-to-day, like what are your big, what do you handle every day? What's your
Mine
task?
is a little different. I'm not as student-facing, so I oversee the 30-plus career programs that we have, manage all of our part-time instructors. As you know, the instructors can be a little bit of a challenge as far as finding one, and then finding one that's passionate about teaching, but also being an expert in a field. Me and Leah like to say that we can run these programs all day, but I can't tell you exactly. You know, we can set them up and we can get all the legwork done, but having a subject matter expert to actually, you know, get that applicable piece for the students. So that's really what I do, is just kind of overseeing the programs and keeping everything on the train tracks.
Gotcha. That's a lot. And then it sounds like career coach, you're handling the students.
Face-to-face every day.
Now, is that for all programs at Jeff State, or is it just Skills for Success?
All programs.
All of them. Okay. And are you the only one doing that?
Well, all of us work
Sure.
together. There's a student success coordinator that she's fairly new, a month.
Sounds right. Yeah.
And so, but, you know, it's just a great opportunity to assist the students. And one of the things I did not say is that this is a new position with workforce education. So it was designed especially for me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. So you can't mess it up, right?
No.
You're made for it. Well, that's good. I just can imagine, like, the growth that everybody's experienced, and being on the inside of the Innovation Center and pushing the courses out. I always wonder what it's like to try to handle. There are 30 courses. At the end of this month, there'll be 31 courses available, with another 5 ready to pilot in sometime this fall. So that's 35 courses, all completely different, you know, to some degree. So what's that like for you guys? And I know that and you can nod your heads or not, I know that we're pushy, and I know that we're it may feel like we overstep sometimes.
Well, I won't say you overstep, but for me, my experience is a little different than Brittany because I was learning workforce education.
Yeah.
And then it was new for Skills for Success. And I had to learn that too. So it was like, oh my God, what did I do?
It can be a lot, sure.
And so, but now it's running like a well-oiled machine. And we get the opportunity to touch a lot more students now with the Innovation Center besides the other 30 programs we have.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
So, yes.
So you're looking at like a total of like almost 60 programs that you're trying to advertise, support, deliver.
Yeah. And in fact, we actually have done practically no advertising of Skills for Success. It's more of everyone's flocking, when they hear about it, when they see about it. And K-12, I guess, really contributed to that. K-12 kind of took off for us. And it was, the school was like cranked up real quick on that.
Yeah.
All the colleges were really.
For sure. Well,
it seems like we woke up one day and we're like, okay, we got this. And then we woke up 2 days later and I was
sorry about that. Oh. Yeah.
But that's what we say that all the time. That's workforce. Like, you never know what
unexpected.
The day is going to look like.
Unexpected. And with speaking of the high schools, we have one that is the poster child, which is Dr. Walker and LaCroix. Mm-hmm. They had over 100 students to go through from November of 23 to May of 24. She took ownership and she ran with it.
Yep. I remember seeing that. So every course request that comes in, I see it. Mm-hmm. It comes to me first, and then I move it on down. And then you get an email from me saying, hey, it's not really from me. It's from a Monday, but it looks like it's from me. It's in my outbox.
I thought it was from you.
Yeah, it is. I send it with love and affection. But then we track, constantly we're tracking, and then through the invoices and the completers to see. But we're always looking, and Dr. Cox from the system office is tracking like where the hot spots are around the state to know like, okay, well, Jefferson County is solid. Like it's all super bright green, and then the other counties not, because there's just not, the resources aren't there to go kinetic like you guys. But we see that, and then we notice, okay, well this college and this high school's got it going on. So how do we replicate that in a place where it's not going on? So that's really good to see. How do you differentiate between like Jefferson County Road Department, and then Jefferson County Schools Transportation Department, and then the Croy High School, and all these other high schools? Like, how do y'all sort that out? I've always wondered, because y'all have a lot going on. How do you sort out all the different entities?
Well, I think with Leah, she's assigned each of us different areas.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so we have the companies, and we have the communities, and then we have the high schools.
Okay.
And so we kind of like, all of us take ownership of all of them, but we focus on one area.
Yeah. That's and everybody now I saw the org chart, but I didn't see that part of who handles which schools and companies and stuff. So is that like private information?
No.
Because that might be really helpful for my team to say, okay, well, here's this company, and well, that's Bob at Jeff State.
But it shifts and changes all the time because of how much it's growing.
Okay. Well,
and
fair.
With the new coordinator, I wouldn't say it's private, but like, for example, my role with workforce, aside from Skills for Success, focuses on instructors. So then that's my main contribution to the Skills for Success project.
Gotcha.
So it just kind of varies on our roles too, I think.
I started out checking Canvas to make sure the students were completed.
Yeah.
And because it has grown so much, myself and Alyssa, we make sure that the students are completed. And then I create the roster once they're completed based on what class it is.
For the lab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we broke that down where I focused on the CDL, and Alyssa focused on food and beverage, and then both of us did heavy equipment. So we, now that we have a full staff, it's going to even change even more
Yeah, sure. Well, that makes sense. And we're constantly shifting that kind of stuff too. We try to stay, it's hard to stay consistent and the same people doing everything.
And when I say CDL, even though I know that the high school don't go through that, but we have a lot of community students in our commercial drivers program.
Did you know, speaking of CDL, that the Class A reimbursement is going up to $22.50 in the fall, like August 1st?
Per student?
Per completer.
Wow.
From $1,500 to $2,250.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think Leah knows that.
So we're going to go back and be like, we got to fill these classes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to go into that whole story. I don't know if y'all were around when we started that. We had reason for making it that way. Leah got involved. Like, hey, we really need you to do it. Rather than 2, make it 3. And fiscal had locked in on a certain thing, and we didn't change it. And I wasn't sure that the cost needed to change, just based on some things I knew. But it turns out I was wrong. Well, I'll take half the blame. But anyway,
you learned. You weren't wrong.
It was definitely learning. But now we're like, so we asked last Christmas, and then they said, well, let's just do it at the fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do that, and we got a couple of other options to help out with some of those CDL niche situations, like refreshers or upgrades or whatever. That creates a nice revenue stream, but also lets you filter people into other things.
Yes.
If they really don't need a long time, you got a refresher or something so to free up for those who need it. And then a restriction removal course. So when you send folks through and they don't have the time to get Class A and a manual transmission, they go through an automatic. Once they get employed, they can come back with an employer's request and go through a restriction removal course just to learn to shift. So you really get, in the end, you get that 5 weeks.
Yes.
And that extra 2 weeks is really all they need.
Yeah.
But before, it was kind of a really big burden to get all that at this dollar. So now it really comes out, not what you would make in the old days, but now you're serving a lot of people quicker and they're getting what they need, and it's helping you guys. So some of the other reimbursements will drop a little bit, like food and beverage, and fiber is going to go down because there's not much cost. But we made that one so that budget line looks a little better at the end of the day. So I think you'll, and we're going to announce that not next week, but the next, when all the fall stuff rolls out. So y'all have a big list of that. So what's been your biggest win with workforce in general? I can talk about skills of success all day, but you serve more than that. What's been your biggest win in workforce? Like by a person, a company, or a project?
Ooh, my biggest wins is when I see a student being challenged to complete the program and they successfully do that. And we see a lot of that. So that is, oh man, that is so encouraging. And then I realized I am in the right place.
Yeah. We talked last month to Wallace about one of their groups. They serve a recovery center, and they're teaching CDL, have equipment, and I think they're going to do fiber optics too. But those folks have messed up all the reasons that we messed up. But we talked about helping them dig out of that rut.
Yes.
And none of those people were former ministers, or spiritually based.
Well, with that being said, I didn't say I was general manager for Hardee's for 13 years.
Yeah.
So my story for doing what I do is very personal.
Yeah.
I was a single parent.
Yeah.
And so I want everyone that did not realize that they have an opportunity to know they can do it.
Yeah.
So even though I gave you the limelight, there's a story behind that. And so that's the reason why I'm passionate about helping students or helping individuals.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I think we could turn this show into not a Maury Povich, not a Dr. Phil, somebody that's legit. But to tell that story, like, hey, I always think back to Jelly Roll when he won that award and he was on the stage. And I just heard a promo about it today, a replay of the rear view looks at the rear windshield for what like everything's in the past, but he had to go through some stuff, but having that experience is what makes you get up every day and
Yes.
and look at that student different, look at that instructor different. Because I don't care where you come from or which dean or director you are, there was a time in your life when you thought, "This is it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to make it through this one."
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But here we are.
Yes.
And so,
and everyone's journey is different, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't get my bachelor until I turned 40.
yeah,
And now I'm working on my doctorate. So everyone's journey is different. And just because an individual decides not to go get a degree does not mean that your journey is any lesser than anyone else.
well, that's true, and I think we've seen that. We've had so many seniors, like senior citizens, take these courses.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, well, I retired, and then my spouse died, and I'm lonely. I need something to do, and I want to go back to work, and so that's really good stuff. What about you, Brittany? What's your biggest win, best part of working in workforce?
Oh gosh. That's a tough question because there's just been so much that's happened in 4 years for me and coming from something that was not education related and then realizing like you do not have to stay where you are. I was so burnt out, absolutely miserable. My husband was like, yeah, you got to find something. You don't want to come home to that every night. And then when you find something that you're passionate about and that you like getting up and going to work for, it's really cool. And with workforce, just the growth that we've had at Jeff State. I mean, I'm from Birmingham, so I know about Jeff State. I did dual enrollment when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I kind of know how Jeff State was and is, but even like full circle to be able to come back and be like, okay, this is where I'm planting my career. I'm here for the long haul. I guess that's a win. It's not really workforce related, but
She wins every day because she orchestrates the teachers, the instructors for the classes, for the program. Because if we did not have the instructors, we wouldn't have the program.
yeah, that's true. And I would say even to that, I mean, we have instructors, and I can think of one in particular. She never taught before at all before coming to Jeff State. And she's taken a chance on us, and we're taking a chance on them. And now she's one of the best instructors that we have. And it's like very little guidance, but just a hand to be there and like provide support for them as they relay information that they already know, like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
It's like just finding out how you can teach that to adults, really, not necessarily kids, because, we serve adults and I think our average age is 32.
Yes.
So, it's different in a classroom. And then you throw in the online, and that's a whole nother piece. So working through those instructor challenges, I guess, is a big one.
Yeah, you mean like your standard online courses it's all online, or are you talking about the online part of Skills for Success, or just in general, all things web related?
Yeah, I mean, really all things web related. Our program, so prior to COVID, every workforce class that we had was completely on campus.
Yeah.
Like absolutely no question. And then of course COVID happened. Everything went online.
Yeah. It stayed that way.
And now, yeah, for the most part, everything's still online, but with hybrid classes and students joining a Teams classroom that have not been on a computer in 20 years.
Yeah.
Deborah personally.
That's fun.
Meeting with a student every day at 4:00 to help her get on, and then she completes the program and is hired and things like that. So
That's beautiful.
it looks different, but all good.
Yeah.
And I think we're like a puzzle. It takes each area to make it successful, to be a beautiful picture. And that's when I had to make sure Brittany pat herself on the back because she organized the instructors. And speaking of the student that she was talking about, this is just student success. This student had no idea on how to sign in to Teams. And for 5 months.
She's
almost,
CMA.
Yes.
Yeah,
5 months.
Yeah.
We had to literally hold her hand.
Yeah.
And she successfully passed the program, passed the certification. Now working in a hospital, considering
Coming back.
Well, for nursing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, those, just watching that, because originally I didn't think that she was going to survive. Not the classroom, but getting on the virtual.
Yeah. Doing something just getting out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Which for us, like I was at Calhoun and had a really nice cushy job, and it was predictable, and they like, hey, you want to do this job? I'm like, oh gosh, what in the world? What is that? And once I learned about it, I was like, oh, that's a huge risk. I don't know. Like I've got it dialed in. So then we get something dialed. So we're constantly getting out of our own comfort zone, and it's terrifying.
Yes,
It's absolutely terrifying every day. It seems like. What about? So I know y'all have handled. Man, I bet. And I looked the other day. It was well over 1,000 people that y'all have served.
For
Skills for Success. Like, it's a lot. Maybe not 1,000. It's really close. I was looking at all the different colleges, but you guys have served a ton of students.
Yes.
A ton of companies, like Alabama Power. You do like the CDL, line worker, and fiber, and all that stuff. So, what are some big stories out of Skills for Success? Like, if you think of one student who just really got what they needed, like this last lady you're talking about, and I also want to hear, like, we won't go disappointment. Those are sad. Let's talk about the biggest win you've had from students. Some big wins.
So this one's more like a full circle moment because one of our instructors, she's a part-time instructor, teaches vision assistant for us. Her son goes to one of the high schools in our area, and he went through, I don't remember exactly, was he skid steer or excavator? But it was one of the heavy equipment ones. And, it's just kind of cool when you have an instructor that's teaching for Jeff State, and then you get to see their family, their kids specifically benefit from something that we're doing in a totally different area.
Yeah.
Like not vision related, not healthcare. And so that one was a cool one for me because she's an instructor for me.
And he got a job too.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
In the heavy equipment? Mm-hmm. Do you know where? Do you remember? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot, but
Brassfield and Gorey.
That's nice. That's a huge company, and then they're working.
Yes.
They're one of the big dogs on that Mobile to Tuscaloosa highway. So that's something we need to explore as a whole system. We need to jump in that area, and that's not really Jeff State's area. You're kind of just on the outer edge of it, but maybe you get that name off air, and we do a story on him, in our spotlight or something. What about? Have you had any students go from, say, a skid steer or an entry-level course and then come back to Jeff State for a degree program? I'm sure you've had a bunch come back and take multiple skills courses. But have you had anybody go from non-credit into a credit or short certificate?
We have, but in the unfortunate thing about that, they don't come back and, they tell us before they go in to the program, but they never come back and say, I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it. And that's the unfortunate, especially with Skills for Success. Now, from one of the other fast track programs to credit, we have multiple of those.
We've got several different paths just specifically to Jeff State, where if you go through a career program, successfully complete, there's a scholarship opportunity for a credit, a certain number of credits, and I'm sure other schools do that. Different classes, things with our healthcare, because the nursing program is so big at Jeff State. So, I would say our healthcare is our bread and butter of what we have been doing, for so long.
For sure.
And I'm sure there's countless students that have, is like Deborah said, it's hard to track them. Because it's all self-reporting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's 1,000
Yeah.
running around every direction. Yeah. What would be the one thing that that the Innovation Center team could do to make your job easier? And this stays live on camera, but you can say whatever you want to say. Like, we have thick skin, and we know like our processes are not perfect. We're not perfect, but we want to be as close to that as possible, so we can serve you guys, so y'all can move at a high rate of speed. What's the one thing we can do? Several things we can do to make your life easier.
I think
to serve all those.
I think overall, from looking at the beginning of it to now, you all have made so many changes Because when, like I said, a year and a half when I started, well, almost 2 years ago, but when I started with this, I was like, oh my God, how do we fix this? And then you all started making changes that made it so much smoother. Right now, every change that I would like to have, I'm almost certain that it has happened. Because even I think you and I talked about, can we divide the schools up from the companies? Do you remember that?
In the sections, yeah.
In sections, and you did that, and I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine how easy that makes it?
Do you know that when we started, that we were told that sections weren't possible in Canvas? And so, as a matter of fact, when we started CDL Class A, every college around the state was in the same.
I know.
Can you
No.
You can't imagine it, but I can because I was there.
That's why I got these 3 wrinkles right there because of that. So when we discovered sections and then realized that really that was unlimited.
Yes.
Now on the delivery end it creates more. You got to track down through it, but yeah, that was huge.
That was huge.
I don't know that we would have survived. I don't know that it would have continued if we had not discovered sections.
Yes.
Because it would have been such a headache to sort out. People would have been like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yes, because that made the difference.
Yeah.
That made the difference.
What about on your end?
I would say instructors, that's still just a big pain point, I think, across the board, no matter what. And finding, that happy marriage of them knowing what they're talking about and then caring enough about students and creating that opportunity to put their time in and work with us. Instructors are a challenge. Finding them.
Yes.
Once we get them, we're good.
And with her saying that, if we could get every teacher in the high school to buy in, like Dr. Walker,
Yeah.
it would make it so much easier.
Why? This is a bad question. I'm going to open a can of worms. And I'm from K-12.
Okay.
I was a teacher,
Okay.
and a coach, and a principal from pre-K through 12th grade, different times. So I can talk about K-12 in certain ways. Because I know I live it. Still got my certificate. Why do you think some teachers don't buy into this program?
I think it was new. And now for those that went through it with us the first time, they will be able to assist us in helping others because we had to teach them. We had to, be there every moment of the day.
Yeah.
And so now with the previous teachers, I don't think we were going to have any challenges. Now with school year coming up, with the addition, because we believe that
I'm nervous about it. I'll be honest with you. Yes.
This is going to be like, oh my God.
Well, that's why we hired, last summer we tried to hire extra registrars just for that. And so we finally got it, in the spring. And so we have 3 people that do registration. That's all they do,
Yes.
And so I'm like, now you're still registering in a what I say is not the greatest system.
But it's better.
It's better.
It's
and now we got
better.
more people. So we got more people and y'all are, your schools are better. They understand the process. And
Yes.
Andrew Robinson was talking on a different episode about there are always going to be some delays and
Yes.
some process that you
Yes.
just say, okay, well, here it is. Well, I appreciate you saying those things. Those are all real things that we talk about almost every day.
Yeah.
Is how to make it easier, how to make those processes easier. And instructors, it's my first job at Calhoun. I was like, where do I find these people? Because the technology folks are fantastic, but they're only available on Fridays and Thursday afternoons.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? So,
That's another thing, not all of them, but the majority of our programs are in the evening.
yeah.
So then you gotta find somebody that's willing to give up a couple hours of their night.
Yeah. And you got to
And-
give them more money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think we pay pretty fairly, but for a side gig. But then again, if it were me, I don't know. At my point, point in my life right now, I have a little one. I'm not giving up those hours. So I can see as a person, job aside, why it's hard. But as a job, I'm like, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Come on, I need 2 hours.
I just need 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
Just two.
Yeah, that's tough. So you talked about those evening classes, and which means you're probably serving people who are working or doing something else. And so those types of students need wraparound services.
Oh yeah.
And that's in the college system. My goodness, what we do so well for wherever you are, whatever you need. There's a door for you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know y'all do really well with all that stuff. Give me some stories that you've done to wrap around skills for success, like OSHA or adult ed services or whatever it is, paths for success. How have you wrapped around these students to take care of all the other things besides the training cost?
Well, and I guess this is Skills for Success and one of our line workers. They were, I can't remember the city that they're from, but they had to travel 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then they were going to Clanton for the CDL program.
Mm-hmm.
That's a part of the line worker.
Mm-hmm.
They had not been working for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And so they had gotten behind on their rent.
Yep.
And so took them to Student Success Center.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I told him I don't want to be the middleman, introduced him to them. And I can't tell you, I know he went several times, but I did not want to know.
Yeah.
I needed him to feel free to go when he needed to go.
Yeah. And they helped him out?
Yes.
Took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to know those final stories. We just need
Yeah.
to know that they were helped, but that's really cool.
And in a completer. He has
finished?
a job
Yeah.
at Alabama Power Company now.
Nice.
So, you know, to say, you know, just to pull out Skills for Success, we have success stories from, you know, individuals getting jobs and then needing to go through mock interviews
Yeah.
to get a job.
Yeah.
And so, you know, because this is something new to them. And so, you know, it just depends on what they need at the time.
Yeah. Do you identify a lot of that on the front end, or do they not tell you? They hide it, and then they get done. They're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do," and you notice that. Like, how does that work for y'all?
It's
think
different.
it's both, yeah.
Yes. It depends on the individual. And because, you know, I tell them all the time, I can't help you if I don't know.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have some to come and say, well, I have kids and I can't finish.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, why didn't you say this from the beginning? And we could have assisted you before you got to this point of wanting to quit.
Yeah. Do y'all work a lot with Paths for Success with Patty Houston and her team?
Yeah, I think we've had a few. I know one. I think he was in the January line worker, or I don't know. He was in one of our line worker classes recently. I haven't been as personally involved with
Sure.
it, but you know, we see that come through, and I think there's more information coming out. Like, you know, there's just been more development with that.
Yeah.
And so I think, especially coming up in the fall, we should see more.
Yeah. For the Skills for Success, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, and flooring, there will be Paths for Success is working on, and heavy equipment too. They're working on either PPE as
Okay.
needed and a
Okay.
toolkit, like
Oh, wow.
a starter toolkit for the carpentry, electrical, plumbing.
Okay.
They'll get a nice bundle. I think it's around a $200 value, so they can go and on day one they've got boots, and they've got a hard hat, and they've got some
Yeah.
hand tools, and
They're
and
ready to go.
a
And
little
That's
bit of
much
knowledge.
needed.
Yeah.
That's much needed.
And so they're not scrambling to show up first day in tennis shoes and nothing
Right.
in their hand, you know. So
yes.
so Destiny Smith, I know y'all know her, and Latrinda, she's your new central person. They will be able to connect you to that.
Okay,
And we're
that's
working on that
great.
final part. So literally, you got the training's covered. You can do child care, transportation, and then once they're out the door, you're going to be able to give them tools for the next level.
Oh, wow.
You know, for the next step.
And the unfortunate thing is, how can we get them to tell us up front that they're in need?
Yeah, that's a tricky thing, and I don't know. I'm default ask hard questions,
Yeah.
you know. So sometimes I just say, hey, who needs what, you know? Especially when we did those women's foundation grants.
Yeah.
like you
Oh,
knew like right
yes.
away. Like the whole
Yes.
thing was, hey, let's talk about
Yeah.
what you need right away.
Yeah.
But with the guys and some of the young people, they're afraid to ask. So
Yes.
I say just go ask them. Like, hey guys, we got all these options. Who needs it? Tell me in private.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'll find a way. But
Yeah.
those options are out there. But I'm pretty sure Pass for Success wants to give it to everybody that completes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they might regret that at some point once we take all their money and give it to them around the state. But what we've done, we've put a lot of people
Put
to
it
work.
to good use, yeah.
And with you, the person that she was talking about, he was it was a male. He was a single parent.
Yeah.
And that right
Crazy.
there was awesome within itself, watching him, say, hey, I'm a single parent. But we didn't know that he was a single parent when he started.
Yeah. He probably didn't want Alabama Power to know that either, so they wouldn't, exclude him. And so, not if they would. They're great people, but
Yes.
that happens a lot. Final thoughts on all things Jeff State. What's going on? What's the next big thing in workforce for you guys?
I would say next big thing for Jeff State's workforce is our Workforce Education Center
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the Jefferson campus. As you know, construction can get a little delayed sometimes.
Sure.
It's, anticipated for August. I think, it should be this fall, but add 3 new programs, HVAC, electrical, and multi-craft. So that's really exciting. It's a whole new thing for Jeff State. Workforce doesn't have a building, like a dedicated building on campus.
Yeah.
And so, we're probably going to have our ribbon cutting and all that.
That's
and
cool.
So that's pretty neat.
In multi-craft, you're talking like industrial maintenance?
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much industrial maintenance, a hodgepodge essentially of all of that. And then, of course, electrical and HVAC are pretty
Yeah.
much straightforward.
And those will be associate degrees?
They're fast track programs.
Okay.
They're going to be, I think, what do we say, like 15 or 16 weeks. And they're for strictly entry level base, get in and then you start working towards. There's an EPA one that certification that one of them will get. I can't remember off the top of my head. But, both of those, electrical and HVAC, have certain certifications with the state or licensing. They require a ton of hours. We're not getting all those hours.
Like the journeyman, apprentice, journeyman, master. Yeah.
We're getting them in the door.
Absolutely. Well, that'll be good. I hear a lot of people are building those buildings. What else is going on, Jeff State, in the next 6 months? What's happening?
Ooh, next 6 months.
So
What's your next big thing for Skills for Success? What's the cool thing you're going to do next?
The school year starting back up.
Yeah.
K-12, I think. Well, and our new coordinator.
Yes. Oh, I'm trying to
This
think.
is a tough question.
We have another program coming up. Mental
Mental health worker.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while. Community health worker is about to pop. We're piloting that at the end of the month with Selma.
Okay.
And ambulance operator at the end of the month with
Okay.
Enterprise. So you'll have community health worker, mental health worker, ambulance operator, and then by Christmas we should have nurse support tech.
So, with you starting those, more than likely we will be hands-on with that as well. Because I know the mental health worker Leo spoke to us about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when we're starting it, but it's coming up.
Those two are really community health worker and mental health are scenario based. But when you look at Jeff State's area, you've got a lot of urban poverty who need to be checked on, and you've got rural poverty who needs to be checked on. So you'll be able to tie that to a lot of different divisions, state divisions, state offices, workers, healthcare workers. It fits so many different ways. So you'll have a field day with that. Shelton's running the mental health worker like crazy, and Hanceville just in their area. So look forward to you doing it.
We know it's coming.
Okay. Well, good deal. Well, thanks for being here today, Brittany and Deborah. It's always fun to catch up and have an informal talk about what's going on and how we can be better for you guys. Fall starts in just 3 weeks, and we'll be
It's crazy.
running crazy. So
We're going to be running crazy.
yeah, can't wait to see. I can't
We're
wait to
all
see.
in it together.
Oh yeah,
We know we're not alone when we're, wanting to pull our hair out.
yeah, that's right. Because we're pulling ours out too.
But I think you all have better prepared us for the fall.
Yeah.
So now when we have the triple enrollment for Skills for Success with the schools especially, and with all the staff that you all have added, I think it's really going to help us to
It'll
flow
help us.
easier.
I hope so. We hit 18,000 in May. I think we're over 19,000 now. I haven't looked this week, but my gut feeling is we'll hit 30
Yes.
by Christmas.
I think so.
Yes, that's
With
what I think so.
all the new programs in K-12. So that's a good thing. Governor Ivany said we need to train the workforce in Alabama. So pitter patter, let's get at her. Let's do
We're
it.
going to do it.
We're doing it.
All right, we're doing it. All right. Appreciate you ladies being here. It's always a good time. This has been another really fun episode of Innovation Unplugged. Remember out there to like, subscribe, and share on all podcast platforms. Have a good one.